United States Air Force currently consists of over 500,000 personnel, which consists of active duty, reserve, and guard. But before September 18, 1947, the United States Air Force wasn't even its own unique branch. It was actually part of the Army. In order to reach this status, it had to work from pre-World War I, World War I, and World War II. Many people, many influential people, allowed this to happen and pushed for it to happen. And using these three times probably consisted the most. In 1903, the Wright brothers first successfully flew the heavy-than-air aircraft. And this first showed that air superiority could be used later on. In 1907, the Armed Forces formed the Aeronautical Division. But there was no airplanes involved in this. It was all consisted of hot air balloons. In 1909, they bought the first aircraft from the Wright brothers themselves. This was mostly used for surveillance and possible bombing, but it was never actually used in combat. In 1914, Congress established the aviation section and pushed for more aircraft and more training of pilots. In World War I, the first major air combat force was created. It was also used for surveillance and was first tested in combat and proved to be somewhat of a success. Many people who died in the aircraft was not fault of enemy troops, but by the aircraft themselves. This was because of poor training and poor funding. But the major disappointment of it was the United States actually had one of the worst air forces among the countries that were fighting. But they proved their worth and established that in the future, air superiority would be a must. And slowly but surely, it started becoming the Army Air Corps. After World War I and before World War II, the Army decided to start training on new techniques and started building up new fighters and new bombers. One of the major influential techniques they learned was in-flight refueling. And this would prove a highly beneficial idea that the United States had advantage of other countries. This allowed them to go a lot further and a lot more stealthy because they didn't have to have a base so close. When World War II got kicked off, it was used often, most likely, for long-distance strategic bombing. They would pick out targets of high value, they would send out troops, they would send fighters to protect the bombers, and they would bomb the targets. This was probably the biggest benefit the Air Force provided during World War II. But two big major changes would happen during World War II. In 1941, African Americans were allowed to join the Army Air Corps, and this was formed by Tuskegee Airmen, who proved better than most of the pilots because of their determination and training. 1 year later, in 1942, women were allowed to help out, forming the Women's Arms Auxiliary Corps. They mostly served as maintainers and trainers. But probably the most infamous use of the Army Air Corps, was the two bombings of Hiroshima in 1945 and Nagasaki. This ended the World War II. Soon after, in 1947, September 18th, the Army decided to let the Air Force become its own branch of government, forming the United States Air Force. And so far, they proved that superiority not only in air, but in electronics is a must in modern warfare. But the strength and determination from hot air balloons before World War I, from pilots in World War I training and proven techniques, and all the training coming to fruition in World War II proved that the Air Force deserved to be their own branch and has proven successful ever since.